Hey everyone, welcome. Thank you for coming. And if you're watching the replay, you will enjoy this as well. So, I'm going to start us off with just a quick grounding breath. And this is be really, really short. Nothing that needs to be, um, you can do it exactly where you are. And I want you to go ahead and just take a nice deep breath in through your nose and then let it out slowly through your mouth. Take another nice deep breath in through your nose and let it out. And we'll take one last deep breath in. Imagine it going all the way down deep to your toes and then release. And today we're going to set the intention that we're opening up the portal to your next level self and activating your next quantum leap. And with that, I'm going to explain a little bit about what quantum leaping is and give you some examples. If you can have a journal nearby so you can answer a question or two before we dive into the meditation. So, quantum leaping is a powerful shift in energy and consciousness where you jump timelines. So, instead of moving step by step toward your desires, you align with the version of you who already exists at your next level and you call it in to the current now. So, some everyday examples to share with you is receiving a sudden 5K, 10K, or even higher raise at work, finding your dream home when you weren't even planning to move, meeting someone by chance who introduces you to opportunities that change everything. This can also be landing a dream client, contract, or job without going through the usual long process. So a lot of these quantum leaps, you've probably have already had at least one or two, probably many more, but you haven't thought of them as quantum leaps. So I invite you to take some time right now and think of one or two times in your life that you've experienced a leap like this. Write them down and also notice how they felt in your body as you write them down. So, give you about 2 minutes to do that. Great. So, hopefully, you've written down a few things, and I'll share a few of my own and the importance of kind of tuning into that energy because also you may begin to notice you have some resistance to reaching your next level self. So, one of my most recent ones was quantum leaping into this home from our previous home, which we hadn't really actually been saving any money or doing anything. We did own the previous home, so that kind of helped in giving us the money to be able to do a down payment. So obviously, it's a little different for someone who has no home and no savings. And so it was like from one day to the next, all of a sudden we're looking at houses and getting the approval for like $400,000 loan, which like a few years before that, I'd only gotten approved for like 175. So it was a big jump between what they approved me for, with, some salary increases, but not like significant enough for me to be like, oh, that makes logical sense why they would approve me for that much. And moving here all within like, I think from one day to the next, doing that whole process to like 30 days of selling and closing and a whole big shift, right? And it was a lot of yeses, right? Getting the yes from my husband, getting a yes from my daughter that she was willing to move her at the end of her freshman year of high school, all of these different things. And then boom, here we are. And then, with the quantum leap at the end of the meditation, I'll kind of talk about what to expect. Maybe there'll be some challenges and resistance that we have to work through. In the quantum leap for the house, I didn't have a lot of resistance to it. I think because there had already been many years that I wanted to move. It was just more like getting my family on board. And it was actually more being in the home where I felt the resistance. And I'll touch on that again at the end. Another few times that quantum leaps happened were when I had told my husband or suggested to him that he leave his current job or past job, not current, but current at the time in 2016, to go back to school. He could stay home with the baby instead of us paying for daycare and having like very little money left over and him being stressed out with his job that he hated. And I felt like it was a win-win. I'm like, oh, just do it. And then in 6 months, when I get my full license, since I'm a licensed therapist at the time, I was like, I'll be making as much money as we were already making together. And the crazy thing is, it did happen. And this was before I was even thinking about manifesting. And I share that because we're always manifesting, even if we aren't actively thinking we are. And that literally happened exactly how I said it was going to happen. And I still think about that. Like, man, wasn't even really like into all the manifesting and was already still manifesting. The thing I want to touch on there was resistance there from the beginning, though. Like, there was a part of me that slowed it down, and thankfully not by much, because I did get like 3 different calls from 3 different recruiters when the quantum leap happened. But I needed that much like support from the universe for me to move forward, because I was like, oh, I don't know if I want to work there. I had already been applying to jobs for 2 years and having had 0 job offers. And then all of a sudden, from one day to the next, getting my full license, I got all these recruiters calling me. And then when it did happen, it was like, wait a minute, like, is this real? Is this legit? And it was. And I did get a big raise. And then about 9 to 10 months after that, I was promoted. And it was exactly what I had wanted in a shorter timeline, because I was thinking like in 2 to 5 years, this will happen. And it happened much, much faster than that. So hopefully you can think of some of those times that you've had as well. And if not, there's a podcast episode that I have that's called You've Already Quantum Leap and Leap Again. And that in particular is going to help you kind of see where you've quantum leap if you haven't ever thought about it before. Okay. And before we have our timeline technique meditation, and I will explain what that is here in a second, I want you to journal on this question. What do you want to manifest in your next level self? And write it down in one clear statement. I'm going to put it in the chat for anybody that likes to visually see the question. So the question again is, what do you want to manifest in your next level self? And an example of this is, I am a confident and magnetic leader, attracting align clients with ease. I am debt free with a 10K travel fund. It can be very detailed or just very simple. It does need to be something you can visualize, right? So it can't be like, I want to be happy. We can visualize that, but there's so many different things that can make us happy. And chances are that you probably are at least happy once a day, throughout your days. So saying that it's not big enough to create those shifts that you are wanting. So it needs to be something more tangible. And I'll give you guys a minute to do that. All right. So I'm going to put the question again in the chat for those that just joined. The question to ask yourself before we do the timeline technique meditation is to ask yourself, what do I want to manifest in your next level self? So while you all are wrapping up with that, I am going to explain what the timeline technique meditation is. It is a powerful visualization process that helps you work with your subconscious mind to release old blocks and step into your future self. Imagine your life stretched out like a timeline. Behind you is the past and your limiting beliefs, your fears may have formed, and then ahead is your future where your next level self already exists. By moving along this timeline in meditation, you can revisit and heal moments that planted doubt or resistance, then journeying forward to embody the version of you who has already manifested your desires. This technique allows you to collapse time, shift your energy, and bring the empowered future self into the present, making a quantum leap possible. And like I mentioned earlier, after the meditation, I'm going to talk a little bit about like what might come up after doing the quantum leap. You might have resistance, you might have life events, frustrations come up. So I just want to touch on that a little bit afterwards. I'm going to explain that, like what happened with me when I moved into this house, when we moved from one day to the next, decided to buy a house and go through the loan process with having had zero planning and then moved 30 days later. So that was definitely a quantum leap for us. And it did come with some internal turmoil. Sometimes our resistance comes before the quantum leap, and then sometimes it comes during or after. And so I want to talk about that. Any questions before I start us with the meditation? All right. I'm going to start the music. If someone can just let me know that you guys can hear it, you can do a thumbs up. It's probably kind of low. Good. Awesome. Okay. And all right. So go ahead and get comfortable. You can do this in a seated or lying position. Close your eyes and allow yourself to settle. Take a deep breath in through your nose. Hold and exhale slowly through your mouth. Let's do this together for a few rounds. Inhale for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold for 2. 1, 2. Exhale for 6. 3, 4, 5, 6. And again, inhale for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold for 2. 1, 2. Exhale for 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And go ahead and let your breath settle to a pace that feels comfortable for you. And with every breath, feel your body becoming heavier, softer, more at ease. Let your awareness gently scan your body from the top of your head to the tips of your toes. Wherever you notice tension, simply breathe into that place and imagine it melting away. With each exhale, you're releasing stress, thoughts, and distraction. With each inhale, you're inviting calm, stillness, and possibility. As you continue breathing, allow yourself to sink deeper and deeper and deeper into relaxation. As if you're opening the door to your subconscious, ready to receive healing and clarity. Allow yourself to be in this stillness for a moment. Now imagine before you a glowing timeline stretching out across space. Behind you is your past. Before you is your future. Notice the colors, the texture, the shape of your timeline. Trust whatever appears. Now, begin walking gently backward along this line. Every step, you are moving through your path until you arrive at a moment when a block to your desire first began. This may be a memory, a feeling, a limiting belief, or simply a sense of heaviness. See it, acknowledge it. Know that this block is not here to harm you. It only asks to be seen and released. Now imagine sending a healing light, warm, golden, powerful, toward that moment. Watch it surround the memory, the belief, the younger you who carried it. This light rewrites the story with love and empowerment. See yourself as whole, worthy, and free. Watch as the block begins to dissolve, transforming into wisdom, strength, and clarity. Allow a deep breath to seal this healing. Inhale and exhale. Allow yourself to integrate in this moment. Now, turn and begin walking forward on your timeline. Past this moment, past the present, and into the future. Ahead of you stands the version of yourself who has already manifested your desire. Notice them now. See how they stand. See the light in their eyes, the confidence in their posture. Notice how they speak, how they move, how they carry themselves into the world. Look around at the details of their life, where they live, how they work, who they spend time with. Feel the abundance, the love, the success all around them. Now, step fully into them. Step into their body, their energy, their way of being. Take a breath in and breathe as them. Think as them. Feel as them. You are this version of you. You've always been them. Allow yourself to embody this truth in silence for a few moments. Now, keeping this energy within you, begin to walk back along the timeline, past the future, past the steps, past the moments until you arrive back here today in this present moment. As you arrive, notice how you're no longer the same. You carry within you the confidence, the clarity, the power of your future self. That energy is now woven into you. It is yours to keep, yours to live. And now, silently ask your higher self, what is the next step I can take today to move toward this vision? Trust whatever comes up, whether it's a word, an image, a feeling, or simply a sense of knowing. Take a deep breath in to anchor it in. Inhale, exhale. When you're ready, begin to bring your awareness back into your body. Wiggle your fingers and toes. Gently roll your shoulders. Take a deep breath in and sigh it out. When you open your eyes, you return refreshed, aligned, and ready to move forward with the wisdom of your past healed, your future embodied, and your present self activated. Go ahead and grab a journal or a piece of paper that you've already been writing on and jot down the action steps that came up. I'm going to give you a few minutes to do that now. Okay, so does anyone want to share what came up? Maybe some action steps, anything that you would like to share, or how it felt to be on your timeline if this was your first time doing that activity?
So for me, it was challenging to really tune into the meditation. I felt like I kind of went in certain places and then my brain was going to other things on my mind. However, when we went to the past, it was informative for me to just see how um, like I have beliefs about myself and my ability to plan and follow through uh, because of the adults in my life always telling me that I wasn't like good at it. And I just was able to give like my younger self a lot of compassion and cariño because had ADHD and I wasn't on medication for ADHD. Like I didn't have, um, I was under-resourced and under-supported at
Yeah.
at that time. And so I was able to just kind of give that part of myself like love and also to myself like this version of me can access so much support and can be so resourced. And so I don't need to carry this identity from the past with me that I think is creates like this resistance around what I believe I can accomplish.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for that. And that's why I mentioned earlier, before even getting into it, that we'll have resistance come up sometimes before a leap, during a leap, and then sometimes even after the leap. And I think sometimes when it comes after, it's more of an opportunity to kind of realign ourselves even deeper into the leap. Not that things are going to fall apart, but they feel like it. And I'll take that moment to share about when we moved into the house. I would say for about 6 months, I literally felt like they were going to be like, "Oh, I'm sorry, we made a mistake. You actually don't qualify for the loan. You got to move out. And then you got to return all the money that you got from selling your house and all of these things," right? Which is insane to think. But I think that was also my way of not fully settling in either. Like a part of me, like that painting the walls here, right? I think it took about 6 months before I painted these walls. These walls used to be gray. And this resistance of like, oh, I can't fully settle into here. And a whole other things that come up. So resistance can show up like that. It can also show up as like challenges on your new timeline. Challenges like we went from having a $50 water bill, which we lived in San Antonio within the city limits, and then moving here, we live in a suburb where some things are just much more expensive, including the grocery stores more expensive. Living in a higher um, income bracket area. And so where groceries, and this was in 2020 before all of like the everything increasing kind of prices. It was literally just because we moved. And coming here and having like a $200 water bill, which wasn't something that I had thought about, even though when you're going through the house process, they tell you like they have to tell you how much like utilities will cost, but I think most people don't. At least I didn't pay attention to that part. But little small things that will add up over time. The surprising thing is our light bill is a lot cheaper, and sometimes our water bill will be higher than our light bill, which is just insane. But it's just because it's a smaller community, so then we're having to pay more for our water than electricity for that reason. So, if any resistance did come up, you can, for those that haven't shared yet, you can unmute or you can put it in the chat, like some resistance that came up for you. And then I would also love to hear what are some of the action steps that your higher self or your future next up level self suggests that you do for today or within this next week or month. Anybody that would like to share that?
Um, I'd like to go.
Hmm. Yeah, go ahead.
See if I can get on here. Okay. Sorry I came in late.
That's okay.
But I came just in time for the meditation, so I was really excited about that too. Um, so my resistance came when it was going to walk backwards on our timeline. As soon as you said that, I'm like, wait a minute, why? I don't want to go back there. I want to keep moving forward. So that was like the first moment of resistance for me. And then I guess I didn't feel prepared to identify like what of the many things that I feel I have blocks in, which one was going to come up. Um, but I found a memory that um, I had suppressed for a while. And then I was able to, it was like in the sixth grade when I realized or felt for the first time that I was an outsider and that I was poor. Um, and then that actually took me further back in my timeline of other moments when I was even younger than that, when I felt outside of the circle, outside of the people around me, and that I didn't have the same upbringing as them, even though I was related to them. Um, so that brought up a lot of emotions, uh, feeling like seeing, like revisiting those moments. Um, and then you were continuing on with the meditation, and I kind of stayed stuck there. And then I somehow don't recall exactly how, but I made it out of there, came back to um, where like in the future. I think you said like, what do they sound like? What do they talk like? And I was like, oh, okay, I'm not back there anymore. Now it's like come up this way. So that was a much more pleasant experience, was seeing the future self. And it was just very gentle and um, more crafted, I think, in the craft that I'm currently like working on, much more developed. Um, and the only thing I could think of was just to, I guess, keep posting and just letting the market come to me. Because I've been, the resistance there is just trying really, really hard to make things happen instead of letting myself just put what I need to put out there, whatever comes up authentically and naturally, and just post it out there and just let the things come. Um, so, like, patience is not my virtue. um, and I also feel like I needed to identify myself. I haven't introduced myself to the world. I haven't let people see me. I haven't shown myself to anyone or told my story or anything. And I feel like I need to. I've been holding on to like having to be more of myself before I can do that. Um, so that's something that came up after you had asked us like what's coming from there, and I thought, oh, I wasn't even thinking about those things. Um, so the three things I was able to identify is post, let the market come to me, and also identify myself. And then while you were talking after that, I actually was able to identify what those emotions were that were blocking me and why. And then I was quickly wrote down what were the elements happening around me and the influences that my family, um, like their influential impact on,
Hmm.
for example, like money management, on worthiness, feeling left out, feeling poor, like those kinds of things. And then identifying what did I see, what was there, and what was that impact on me growing up. So
Yeah.
that was a
Thank
lot.
you. Yeah, it's amazing how much can happen, right, during these meditations because it wasn't very long. I didn't time it, so I can't tell us exactly how long, maybe about 10, 15 minutes tops. Um, and you'll have the replay. And so I do recommend re-listening to it and something new may come up. Usually when I re-listen to meditations, it'll be like, oh, I don't even remember that part the last time. And so it's also very interesting what our mind kind of just blocks from us or that we've literally have left our body that we can't even actually consciously connect with what we're hearing. And whatever is coming up is exactly what we are needing in the moment. And so I do want to share that I have the opportunity for anyone that wants to have a one-to-one call with me. I am having a manifestation activation call that you can sign up for. I'm going to put that in the chat so you can have information. And then during that call, we can dive in deeper into whatever came up for you during the meditation or anything else that you were wanting to work in regards to manifesting. So before we wrap up, I want to open it up to any questions, any concerns about quantum leaping, any fears you have about activating a part of yourself to be able to quantum leap. and you can unmute or you can put it in the chat.
Oh, my video's not showing up now. I don't know why. It was earlier. Um, my question has to do with like, what if there's this part of you where your brain is saying like it's not realistic? Like that's like kind of the whole thing about a quantum leap, right? Like that's
Yeah.
something that you've never done before. It is, yeah. There's like low belief. There's low belief because it's something that's completely new. And how do you nurture belief in something that you don't have evidence for?
Yeah. So I would say first taking the time to really identify the belief that the contradicting belief, right? So if it's not that you're having low belief, it's that you're having high belief that it's not possible, right? That it's unrealistic. So maybe going and diving into that, like what makes this next level feel unrealistic? What makes it look unrealistic? And really just trying to dismantle it with a lot of curiosity. And then even asking yourself what fear behind it, right? Or what is it trying to protect you? Because usually all of our um, beliefs, whether they're strong beliefs or low beliefs in anything, they're trying to keep us safe. For example, Vanessa was sharing earlier about recognizing being poor, right? And if you grew up poor, there's probably a moment in time that you realize that, and it may be conscious or unconscious. Um, and then it's like, okay, well, if I'm poor, that means this about me, right? So maybe perhaps looking at that as well, like what does it mean about you that what you're wanting is unrealistic? Is there other hidden beliefs there that are causing that? So really just kind of getting underneath it, underneath that belief, because there's probably multiple layers that make it unrealistic. And then the next thing would be to, okay, if that would be no longer true. So let's pretend that the belief is that it's unrealistic because you live in California, right? And you're like, this is unrealistic because I live in California. It's not possible. And even just saying it, I think it probably sounds silly in my mind. I'm like, you live in California, so that should be even more possible. And so figuring out, okay, why living in California would be the reason why this would be unrealistic. And really breaking it down into where it just really is just becoming words and less of that connected feeling, identifying too what feelings are there. Okay. Any other questions? And so all of you need have more questions, let me know. Yeah. Anyone else have any questions or concerns? And just know like quantum leaps are always in our control. You can even reflect back to maybe a time that you were potentially having a quantum leap, and then maybe resistance came in and you didn't get to move or embody it fully. And sometimes fear goes there as well. So that can be another thing that might be showing up for you, Soul, where you're like, oh, I want this, but it's unrealistic. So I'm not going to like fully dive into it because if I do, and it's going to cause me disappointment or it's going to cause me frustration or I'm going to burn myself out. Or the last time I did try to quantum leap, I went beyond my capacity, meaning like you did overwork yourself, you did end up getting really, really sick. And yes, you got what you wanted, but you weren't able to enjoy it. And, it was all for nothing, right? Sometimes that's the extreme thinking that we have in terms of when we're trying to activate ourselves to move forward in a big jump, right? Because we are wanting to make a big, big shift without having to take, 5 years to manifest what you're wanting. Because that's really what it comes down to. All of these things that you're wanting to manifest probably can happen in the next 5 years. But if you had the choice of, I want this in the next 2 to 3 months, maybe even 6 months versus the next 5 years, I mean, we all want to take that big leap, but we have to also remember that that means 5 years of maybe some challenges that we don't think we're ready for, but we are because you're here in this moment. And then it's creating the capacity to take on those challenges and know you can handle them, you want to handle them so that you can get to your next level self. And sometimes too, your quantum leap isn't that far. I know while I was guiding you all, while I wasn't fully in the meditation with y'all, I was still feeling it some and actually felt like my next level self was only a few months ahead of me, which I found very interesting for me because I hadn't ever done a quantum leap where it's like that, where it's only a few months. And so I wrote down for myself what it is that I'm needing to do. And for those of you that may not know, I do have two businesses, and one of them is this, right? The manifesting coaching. But the other is therapy. And I have a solo practice that I'm working on becoming a group practice. And it is technically a few months, like literally probably in 30 days that I'm going to be hiring someone, so officially becoming a group practice. And so that's probably why when I was guiding y'all, I felt it being so close. But in that, I'm like, okay, my next level steps for me actually have nothing to do with the group practice, and it was more focused on this business, which I wrote down 30 days of IG post and podcast, meaning like really focusing on making sure that I'm posting my podcast episodes and that I'm posting on Instagram because I haven't really been because my focus has been on growing the therapy practice. But since that's already kind of rolling, all I have to do is finish my to-dos there. My next level self is telling me to focus on that. So I have a really good idea as to why. And part of it is because in the last 3 weeks, I have not been doing my sun salutations, which like I used to do those religiously. I haven't been doing my meditations like I enjoy doing. So some of it is really getting back to the same things that we know we need to be doing to be able to be grounded, to be able to be connected to the magic. And I will share a card. So on Mondays, I do the card draws for everyone, and then I do a card draw for myself. And my card for today was just exactly what the guidance I'd been getting already right before, which was rituals. And the card says, steady yourself with simple rituals. Do the dishes, fold the laundry, water the plants, make a cup of tea. Let wisdom sneak up on you. The other just synchronicity of all this is that one of my business besties, Carla, the first gen coach, she released a podcast episode where it's me and her. It was released today, and I was listening to it before our call, and she like I'm literally talking about that I do my sun salutations and all of that routine. So it was just like a reminder, like me reminding myself, right? So my past self reminding this version of myself to that, okay, I got to get back to these spiritual practices that connect me to the magic so that I don't end up burning out, so that I don't end up pushing myself further and further without filling my cup. So, if there's no more questions, I will let you all go. Um, I'll leave it open for another minute or any other feedback or thoughts, anything else. Mm. Yeah, cool. Are you going? I'm gonna actually, so if you want to wait, I'm gonna stop recording here. And